The government strategy yesterday of pushing the doctors to sign the return to work agreement has actually failed. And behind the scenes of the last night meeting that collapsed when the whole of government approach convened the meeting with the KMPDU officials is actually speaking volumes. But from the bold desk, the news from State House is irritating the doctors more than any other thing that can be spoken. And you will see the news from State House. But first I want us to understand what happened. According to a High Court order, the judges and the government were, the doctors and the government were under a 14 days, were given 14 days to be able to negotiate and register a return to work formula in court by today, which is 4th of May. So what the government did, as you can see in this meeting, they started a meeting later last evening, and the meeting went late into the night. That meeting that went into the night was discussing some pertinent issues that had been discussed earlier. Remember, when the President William Ruto was speaking in during Labor Day, he said that out of the 19 contentious issues that doctors were complaining about, 17 had been resolved and 2 were remaining.
Tunataka kujieleza kwa njia ya taratibu bila ya msukosuko ama bila ya kupigana. Kwa sababu inawezekana tukubaliane. Na ndio nawauliza hata madaktari wetu. Tumeweka kwenye meza yale serikali iko tayari kufanya. Kati ya mambo nafikiri 19, serikali imekubali mambo 17. Imebaki 2 kwa sababu haiwezekani kwa mambo ya fedha, na wauliza madaktari wetu warudi kazini. Mambo tutarekebisha, uchumi tutazalisha, na kila mtu atapata haki yake tukisonga mbele. That is what we must do, and we must be brutally honest with one another. Hakuna haja ya kudanganya. Hakuna haja ya kutafuta umaarufu. Tuambiane tu ukweli. Because those of us who are elected as leaders, we are not elected to be popular. We are elected to serve and to transform our country and to work for those who elected us.
And one of those 2 was about the pay for the interns. The doctors were demanding 206. The government has stuck at 70. I think by all fairness, we also believe that it's not fair. 206 could be more, but they could still settle at 150 or another compromise figure, because there are other interns that are also not earning that much. That argument has been in public. So yesterday night, this discussion was still going on. Na ikaendelea. Remember, even by the time the KMPDU officials were going there, the only 2 issues had emerged. And when they came up, they only brought, I think, another one. And of course, when you go to negotiation, you don't get everything. But then something happened. After the agreement, the doctors walked out of that late night meeting. They declined to sign. And I'll tell you why. First, I want you to listen to statements from other leaders, including government officials, that were in that meeting. Then I'll show you the doctors' reason why they declined to sign.
No government, we have said, and I continue to emphasize, that the only issue that we had not agreed on was on internship. And the court yesterday did direct that the issue of internship be consolidated with the matter in court in Eldoret and be held in abeyance unless parties are able to discuss. So that is the issue that then they have come back to reopen and negotiate on it. The other issue that they have brought that was not there initially is that they want government to pay salaries to self-sponsored registrars. That as a doctor, you sit and say, now you want to go for masters. And you say you'll pay for yourself. So you get admission to a university, and now they're asking that we pay those doctors. I think as a government, a responsible government, we have a duty to ensure that patients are being served. And that is what we'll continue to do. The signing today is in compliance to the court order that was issued yesterday. The judge ordered that, can you now sign the documents properly? Because the early agreement we had initialized as a show of progress and a show of agreement of minds. So it's the same document that we have now fully signed so that it can be deposited in court, and the judge ordered that it be deposited by 9:30 a.m. on Monday.
We have been seated here, had a whole discussion, but when they came with a completely different document. We were in the Senate yesterday. The issues they raised today are different from the issues they raised in the Senate yesterday. So clearly there is a very consistent trail of dishonesty from the part of KMPDU and shifting goalposts. At the very tail end of the discussion today, they told us that they are willing to sign this document on Monday, having had these discussions for the last almost 7 hours. Clearly, that level of dishonesty is unfortunate.
When you have negotiated and you have had almost 99.9% of the issues in compliance, then I don't think 0.1% can make you still want the strike to stay on. We had initially said that we will not victimize the doctors who have been on strike. We still remain committed to the cause. However, it is not possible to stay like that forever. And therefore, in the event that we still do not have doctors back to work, we cannot let our people to continue dying. We will have no choice but to replace them.
And it is coming out clearly, and I think I will call out KMPDU and tell them they seem to have a house that is divided. It is time they really pulled together and thought about the Kenyan people who are suffering.
Even as we are sitting here, the money that was set aside for interns, 2.4 billion, that is sitting in the account because they have not gone, they have not reported. The more they stay, we shall reallocate that money to go to other intervene on immediate and urgent issues like floods and other things. So we don't have luxury of time, and we don't have unlimited resources. We don't have money that will accommodate all the requirements that our doctors need. We are going, as we are depositing this agreement, we are going to petition the court to allow us to take any necessary action to alleviate the problem that is obtaining, and at the same time to ensure that the lives and health and well-being of people of Kenya are safeguarded. And this will be done strictly in compliance with the labor laws of this country. To allow us to sort out this matter, next week we shall ask the judge to allow us to intervene in all the measures that can be. One is he can go ahead and compel the doctors to report to work. He can allow the employers, the minister here and the county government to recruit doctors to take charge as these people are picketing and demonstrating.
So, from that you can see, the problem here is not whether we've agreed or not. There was sort of some agreement. And because there was a court order for this thing to be signed in Parliament, they needed it to be signed because wao walikuwa wanataka hiyo story ishe. But the doctors walked out. And when they were asked why, this is their reason for failing to sign.
52 days and counting, members of the Kenyan Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union maintain that they are not going back to work, accusing their employer of remaining non-committal on important areas in the negotiations, which has sparked two disagreements.
Thank you very much.
One day to their date with the court, when they are expected to deposit a signed return to work formula, a Friday night meeting ended in a stalemate.
We already have a document that was negotiated until the wee hours of the morning. It was initialed by both lawyers. It dealt with all the issues on our side as COG. On the matters of national government, they were also addressed.
We negotiated on 8 issues, and today we've not differed in most of them, except for things that they call timelines, which they say do not have any monetary consequences. However, we are at a loss why we will not have signing today, but instead postpone to Monday.
So we said, fine, if you can discuss this issue of interns, you always said you gave us 18 issues out of 19. Now, show us these things. When will they be implemented? They say it can't be discussed. So it was a matter of question, whether do it or do it, and if not, there's no meeting.
The document from the ongoing negotiations has been a point of contention, with the government insisting that the document was agreed upon by the two parties during negotiations. KMPDU says the document was a draft that was yet to be signed, pending resolution of some issues that are yet to be addressed.
There are gains within this document. We don't deny that they have not gotten everything that they ask for. But even when you go before God, there are answers that he gives. He will tell you no to some he will say yes, and to others he will say wait. And therefore, whenever you go to a negotiating table, you can never take a hard stand. It must always be a give and take.
Looking at the suffering that is with our people, when you have negotiated and you have had almost 99.9% of the issues in compliance, then I don't think 0.1% can make you still want the strike to stay on. We had initially said that we will not victimize the doctors who have been on strike. We still remain committed to the cause. However, it is not possible to stay like that forever.
You can't tell us that doctors don't have medical insurance and therefore the government will provide medical insurance. We ask you when. And you say they will provide. We don't say you'll promote doctors and we ask you when will you do it. You say we'll commence in one month. So we'll commence in 1 month after for 2 years or when. They can't give that direction. We ask you about employment of doctors. You say we will employ. You say how, when, what is the plan on it? You can't give that. So the whole essence they're giving is blank statements that you cannot implement. More of the issues that we brought in the strike notice they're putting up as the work agreement.
According to KMPDU, the Friday meeting that ran till late was more of a coercion than negotiation. Officials say the government is rigid, adding that the document does not address timelines on when key agreements will be implemented and the specific number of doctors to be hired. On payment of arrears for the doctors, the government came up with a 5-year payment plan, but KMPDU says they are willing to accept no more than 3 years since it is a debt long overdue.
Now, do you buy it? What they are saying is this, and what I've also independently verified is the government has declined that they cannot do the 70. They have decided to make some adjustments, but they said future, later, or we will negotiate. You just return to work, then negotiation will continue. But the doctors asked, fine, what we have agreed, when will it be implemented? And the government said, abuju buju. We don't know the time, we'll do it later. We'll discuss that later. And the reason why the doctors, by all fairness, by the way, if I come and tell you I want this, and you say I will do it, it is only decent, it is only professional, it is only right to say when. So that you don't, because if a promise must have timelines. The doctors are saying they are being coerced to sign that return to work document, and it was just a matter of force. You just sign. And I'm telling those people, hey, trade unions are not a joke, are not jokes, are not jokers. And they said, tell us the timeline or won't sign. And that's why they said we'll sign on Monday. In fact, today is even a weekend. They said they will sign on Monday. But before they sign, tell us when this will be effected. And government has gone completely silent and is not answering the question of timelines. What they woke up in the morning with is threats of we are going to employ other doctors, or we are going to stop the payment, we are going to stop this and that. But I think if that is, and I've always been saying, threats is just being used around here. If you know it, the simple solution was going to chase the doctors, then employ others, then from week 1, this strike is now on 52nd day. If that is what was supposed to be done, it could have been done before. But believe me, the government is revolving around all this because they're saying they don't have enough money to meet the doctors' demands. But the news from State House is more worrying and more irritating to the doctors. Even as we speak about austerity measures, do you know that we are talking about paying doctors that money and it's a problem? State House renovations has hit 800 million after adjustments in the supplementary budget. The news came at the wrong time even for government. According to the supplementary estimates that were passed by Parliament, the State House has increased its budget for renovations. And just look at this part. 821 general maintenance works at State House, Nairobi. 302 refurbishments of buildings, Mombasa State House. 900 million, 99 million refurbishment of Nakuru. 30 million Eldoret. 27 million Sagana. Kakamega 10 million, Kisumu 9 million, garage for Ruto 898,000, then 9 million for Kisii State Lodge. So why there is already a State House in Nairobi? Okay, what will even stop us? Mbona tusitengeneze basi moja for this financial year, then the rest will make in the next financial year, so that we can sort out this. What is more important? And I'm telling you, this story is in the Standard. So when the doctors will pick the Standard newspapers this weekend and read this, then on Monday, will they even sign? Rigathi Gachagua. DP's office allocation has been increased to 4.8 billion in proposed budget. This amount will be distributed in 4 key programs in his office: General Administration and Support Services, Coordination and Supervision, Office of the Spouse of the Deputy President. The Office of the Spouse to the Office of the Deputy President is held by Dorcas Rigathi. And let me just show you some of the programs. I got this part, I was so amazed. The Office of the Spouse, the Deputy President, focuses on concerted efforts to uplift boy child in society. Part of the 4 billion will be used to identify and screen 12,000 boys for drug and substance abuse, facilitate 18 camps held in different counties. Surely, see, this is a work that can be done by some NGO. Or have we created an NGO under the guise of the office of the Deputy President? This country has a population of more than 50 million, with more than 60% being the youth. So, do you want to tell me that we've set 4 billion for 12,000 boys when you wako under drugs across the 12,000? Even Nairobi peke is more than 12,000. That's a drop in the ocean. The funds will also be used to train 2,400 boys, 1,000 widows, and 40 widows groups, and conduct 10 sensitization. Bana, hizi vitu zinakaa vitu za NGO. Now, if doctors see this, we've taken money into some wonderful programs. Between this and those doctors, hii yenye tunafanya surely 12,000 boys, tumechukua all that money to just sort 12,000 boys. Let's assume let's assume 2 billion goes to that office of the spouse. That is real, very questionable. And I am just wondering whether the doctors will actually agree. When they see people who say we don't have money spending those billions in those non-essential luxuries like refurbishment of state lodges, you wonder whether you really mean well, even when you tell them you don't have money. And they question why government is not giving timelines. I want to answer that. Government, there are 4 questions, there are 4 factors where government is not giving timelines when to implement that CBA. Number 1, they will peg the implementation on the economic situation of the country. Someone said, some insider was telling me that they have even argued, there was a meeting that was convened, they even argued that if we promise you that we are going to do it, and part of the reason why Uhuru Kenyatta did not even implement it, it was supposed to be implemented in 2020, was because of COVID-19. Then we have COVID, or now we have floods. So some of this money, they will be retreated to floods. But even during floods, see, people still need to be treated. So they will peg implementation on economic situation. And the doctors will be told, we cannot pay you that money because the economy has not stabilized. Number 2, 2017 CBA is haunting. I'm not shocked. The doctors also know that Kenya Kwanza is not willing and doesn't have the goodwill to implement any CBA. If we are here because of 2017 CBA that was signed after doctors' strike went for 100 days. Now this one has only gone for 52. This one has gone for 52. And that 2017 CBA is haunting. People they don't want to implement it. Number 3, doctors are seeing money. So even if you are telling them there is no money, but they're seeing the way you are spending, they're just wondering what's wrong with you. What's wrong with you? The doctors are seeing money. People are donating millions. I will do an analysis about that later in the day. There are allocations to the office of the Deputy President, and even as we increase allocations on making state lodges, do you know that we've tried to reduce the budget on other essential ministries? 3, there are plans to fully devolve health, and that will be a strategy to change stand on this. Ladies and gentlemen, we still have a long way to go. But this news from State House, hata kama wewe daktari uweze kubali. Thank you.